I'm Natalie Pascarella.
And I'm Chuck Scarborough. New York hospitalizations for COVID-19 continue their descent, and new help now for struggling families as unemployment rises. The state extended the ban on evictions until August 20th, with late fees for failure to pay rent on time banned as well. And security deposits now can be used to pay rent. Also, the state will now buy excess food from 2,100 upstate farms to distribute to 50 food banks. In the city, 140,000 New Yorkers can get free antibody testing by appointment now. More than 300 homeless New Yorkers were taken off the subways during last night's deep clean. 218 were taken to a hospital or shelter. And the city can start putting limits on city parks to improve social distancing. This all comes as the tri-state death toll rises to 32,426. And the number of tri-state cases reaches almost 493,000. News 4's Andrew Siff is live in Flatiron with the new efforts to protect New Yorkers. Andrew?
Chuck, just minutes ago, this street, Broadway, reopened to cars after it was closed to cars all day, open only to pedestrians. That'll be the case again tomorrow. But New Yorkers looking to spread out got some surprise news from City Hall today. Unclear who will be allowed to go to city parks. Another mile and a half of city streets now closed to cars and open to pedestrians. But the mayor today also delivered a warning as the weather gets better. Police may soon regulate the number of people allowed in city parks.
And there are certain parks where just the configuration of the park lends itself to overcrowding, and we're working on strategies right now to address that.
The open-air debate arrives as the state delivers new numbers on antibody testing. The governor said healthcare workers actually had a smaller percentage of coronavirus cases than those at home.
I mean, that is amazingly good news.
But anxiety is high with no end to the pandemic in sight. And today the governor promised nobody would be forced out of their homes for the next 3 months.
No one can be evicted for non-payment of rent, residence or commercial, because of COVID until August 20th.
While the organizers of this field hospital in Central Park insist nobody forced them out.
There's been no pressure for us to leave early.
That's Franklin Graham, founder of Samaritan's Purse. The Christian organization treated nearly 200 COVID patients here while requiring employees to sign a pledge opposing same-sex marriage, a philosophy denounced by local lawmakers.
New York City was basically forced into accepting charity from a bigot like Franklin Graham.
I'm not a homophobe, that's just a lie. We don't discriminate against people that believe differently. We give the same care to everybody, regardless of who they are.
As for crowd control at city parks, the mayor's office wouldn't say which parks are under consideration, but they did promise details tomorrow. Live in the Flatiron District, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
All right, Andrew, thank you. And happening now, a caravan is winding through the city, driving by police precincts to protest the NYPD's enforcement of social distancing. This started at the 75th Precinct in East New York, targeting 3 different precincts and ending in the East Village. 2 to 3 dozen vehicles were spotted in a line with signs taped to their exteriors.
In New Jersey, hospitalizations are at their lowest level since early last month, but the number of deaths and infections continues to rise. 254 new deaths were reported. The state now has more than 133,000 confirmed cases. Now, while the state watches the case and the death rates, the jobless numbers are climbing. So far, about 1 million claims have been made for unemployment in the state of New Jersey. About $1.9 billion in benefits has been paid out. And Governor Phil Murphy announced he's sending 120 members of the National Guard to those hard-hit nursing homes and rehab centers. The soldiers will help with testing, janitorial work, and meals.
I have been very critical of the ownership and corporate management of some of these facilities, but to be clear, the nurses and aides on the ground working to keep their residents safe and healthy deserve our deepest, deepest thanks.
And in Newark, the city is kicking its testing and tracing programs into high gear. The pool of tracers has multiplied from 5 or 6 to more than 200 now. But with no federal dollars, cities like Newark are left to scramble for what they need.
Well, Natalie, in Connecticut tonight, Governor Lamont says the state has met the first criterion for reopening thanks to another drop in the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19. This is the 14th drop in the last 15 days. But the virus is still exacting a toll. Connecticut's deaths rose by 79 today to just under 2,800. And the number of confirmed cases rose by nearly 800, the total now approaching 32,000.